Hello, hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Happy Sunday. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you as we gather together to celebrate the magnificence and significance of God flowing in, through, and as us. If you never heard this truth that you are the magnificence of God, well, welcome to Celebration Spiritual Center, where we will remind you of that over and over and over again. Let us begin with prayer as we always do. And so I invite you here and now to close your eyes and affirm with me, I am here now.
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 Here and now we remember and recognize that there is only one mind, only one power, only one presence that is back of, behind, and underneath and comes before all things. It is the presence of God that flows in, through, and as us. It is the presence of love that flows in, through, and as us. It is the presence, the power that empowers each and every one of us. And it is right here, right now, because God neither comes nor goes. Wisdom neither comes nor goes. Love neither comes nor goes. Answers neither come nor go. Solutions neither come nor go. All are here now. And as I recognize this truth that God is, and God is right here, right now, I remember and align and unify my heart and mind with the reality that we are one with God and one of God. We are God's good idea. We are like the wave to the ocean. What God is in the large, we are in the small. We have great possibility. And so it is out of this awareness of our great possibility, it is out of our awareness of our oneness with God, our union with the all that is, with the power that powers the universe itself, that I speak this word in faith and conviction, that we are blessed beyond compare, that as powerful beings, co-creative beings, we come together to create this experience called the weekend service, and it is blessed, and it is prosperous, and it is prospering, and it is blessing. Right here and now, we open up our hearts and our minds to receive the good that has already been prepared in consciousness for us. Right here and right now, we say yes to our healing. Right here and right now, we say yes to new thoughts. Right here and right now, we say yes to new ideas. Right here and right now, we say yes to new ways of seeing. Right here and right now, we say yes to new ways of being. Right here and right now, we say yes to new ways of acting. We let it all be here and now, for we are open and available to receive. We permit and allow the goodness of God to be good in, through, and as this service, and in, through, and as our lives. We declare that we will leave here differently than when we came in. So it is with joy and thanksgiving that I release this prayer. I release it back into the law, which is always in operation, knowing that it is responding to the feeling tone of this prayer and responding at every level of life and every dimension of life simultaneously now. So we rest, we relax, and we celebrate. From this place of awareness, we lift up our voices and we say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Yes, yes. And so it is, and so it must be. Well, hello again. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Happy Sunday. It is so good to be here with each and every one of you to celebrate the magnificence and significance of God flowing to, through, and as us. If you are a first-time guest, we especially would like to say hello to you and welcome to you. Thank you for choosing to join us today in the weekend service. However you got here, it was a good path to get here, and we are happy that you chose to spend some time with us, as there are so many services and spiritual communities that you could spend time with, but we are confident that because you made the choice to be here, that something powerful will be experienced on your behalf, that you will hear something, receive something. Something will take place today that will support you in living an empowered life and having an empowered week. As a first-time guest, we would love to stay in touch with you. And so the information that you see here on your screen is how to access the digital connection card. Just text the word welcome to 347-472-1078. Just the word welcome, no additional messages, and you'll receive an automated text reply with a link to the digital connection card. Click that link, fill out the information, and submit it. And once you've successfully submitted your information, you'll receive a follow-up text saying you're all set. And indeed, you are at that point. You'll be on our mailing list. And on our mailing list, We send out an email that goes out every Friday that has lots of pertinent information about what's going on at CSC, and we'll have many of the things that we share in today's announcements links so that you can have them more readily available and accessible in your inbox. So with that said, I think it's a good time to get into the announcements. We have a few more announcements than usual to move through today. So let's do that, and then we can get into the meditation and the music and the message. We recognize that this weekend is considered a holiday weekend for many, and we are conscious and choose to recognize that this weekend, or tomorrow, is not Columbus Day. And tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day, and we honor the original peoples of this land. For those of us who are New Yorkers and live here in the five boroughs, we know that this is Lenape land. The Lenape people actually their territory extended for, again, what we know as present-day New York City, New Jersey, much of Delaware, parts of Pennsylvania. And, of course, as you go out to Long Island, there are other peoples. Every time we spend time in Montauk, we take intentional time to thank the peoples of that land, the Montauk Indians, the people who originally inhabited the land and cultivated the land, because none of us would be able to enjoy that space without them. So I encourage you to take the time to, if you're not aware and where you may live around the United States, if you're not aware of the names of the tribes and the names of the peoples, the original peoples who inhabited the lands that you now enjoy and stand on, tomorrow's a good time to find that out. And be intentional, right? You can, while none of us are colonizers, right? None of us colonize the land, but we can take time to show intentional gratitude, recognizing that this weekend we have time off, and that's wonderful, not because of Columbus, but because of the original peoples of this land.
Yes,
and
yes.
we honor that. Every Wednesday morning, we gather together for prayer. At 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we gather together for the Momentum Prayer Call. This is a wonderful way to continue the momentum that you begin today on Sunday. And, of course, you take Sunday into Monday and Tuesday, and then you get to the middle of the week, and you might not feel as powerful as you felt on Sunday or Monday. And so this is a wonderful way to begin your day with intention, to continue that momentum, to jumpstart that momentum if you need to. That prayer is led by myself, PY, and the prayer champions. We share a reading, and then we pray. It's a very, very short call. We're usually done in about 5 to 10 minutes, but it is, again, a wonderful way to begin your day. The prayer is also recorded, so you see the playback number there. The most recent prayer is always available to you 24/7, and we absolutely encourage you to use that. Anytime you just need to tap into the vibration of prayer, tap into that knowing, you can use that number. If and when you're on our mailing list, you'll also receive a link to that prayer, which is in the weekly email, so that you can listen to the prayer from your devices, your computers, whatever it may be. If you have a prayer request, you can send that prayer to prayerchampions@celebratonsc.org, and we will know the truth with you. We will stand in absolute knowing, in absolute expectation and conviction that the prayer is being answered. Right now, we recognize that prayer is answered when you listen, prayer is answered through you, and prayer is answered when you welcome everything in. So as you send that prayer request, it's then your opportunity to sit in that space, to begin to listen, to remember, oh, prayer is answered through me, and prayer is answered when I welcome everything in. So from the moment you pray that prayer, from the moment you submit that prayer request, pay attention to everything that's happening, because in ways that you may not realize in the moment, your prayer is already being responded to. And so we will then stand in the absolute knowing with you in confidence that the prayer is being answered. We also encourage you to follow up with us and let us know when that prayer is answered and how that prayer was answered, as we always love hearing the powerful miracle stories, the powerful praise reports that are happening in our community. Next Sunday is the third Sunday, and every third Sunday we gather together for the God Talk. The God Talk is your opportunity to ask questions. We recognize that this new thought path, this metaphysical path, may be new to many, and there's a lot of unlearning that happens, particularly when it comes to traditional Christianity or just traditional religious thinking or backgrounds. And as you may want to start to incorporate new thought principles and ideas, questions come up, or you may read something and questions come up, or you may hear something that we say, something that PY says in the meditation, or something you hear in one of the sermons, and normally in other spaces when you don't get to ask those questions, right? And so we recognize that there needed to be a space and a forum for that. And so that's what the God Talk provides. It's also a wonderful way for those who have been walking this path for some time to, you hit a roadblock, you hit a challenge, and you're seeking some insight, and we are happy to answer those questions as well. It happens at 1 p.m. following service, and it's virtual via Zoom, so you have to be on our mailing list in order to get that link and password. So again, for our first-time guests, if you're hearing about this and you're like, wow, this is awesome, I would love to attend next Sunday, you got to be on our mailing list, and you'll see that information again throughout the stream to access the first-time guest digital connection card. Just a reminder to everyone who lives in New York, the voter registration deadline is at the end of this week on Friday. We have a midterm election that's coming up in November, and for New Yorkers, we see there are actually some pretty important things on the ballot. U.S. Senate, U.S. House, Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, Comptroller, State Senate, State Assembly, New York State Supreme Court, Civil Court, Surrogates Court, and several ballot proposals. I encourage you, if you're a New Yorker, if you don't already follow them on social media, to follow NYC Votes because you can get a lot of pertinent information. But most importantly, if you want to vote and are not registered, you would need to register by this Friday. I think this is also good information, as we're always encouraging folks to register to vote. It's good information to pass on to others. So you may be thinking, oh, I'm registered, I'm in, I know what I'm doing. Well, share this information with someone else because they may not know that they can still register, right? They may think, oh, the election is next month, it's too late. You actually have until Friday to register to vote. And finally, we wanted to give you all some information. We were made aware of something that one of our dear sisters is moving through. Many of you know and love Teresa Luck. She served as our guest services coordinator. She supported us as pastors in so many different ways in leadership. And we received the news this week that her and her family have experienced a huge tragedy. There was a fire at their home. Their home was completely destroyed. They have lost all of their belongings. Nothing was salvageable in the fire. And we were made aware of this and made aware that there's a GoFundMe to support her and her family. I'll let PY talk a little bit more because you spoke with Teresa in terms of just how she's doing. But we first want to make sure that everyone knows that this GoFundMe is available. If you know Teresa and want to support her and her family, you see the link here. You can go to that GoFundMe link. That'll take you to the page and donate. The goal is to raise $20,000 for her and her family. CSC is making a donation in support. But again, you might want to share a little bit more. Yeah.
Sure. You know, at CSC, we've always prided ourselves on supporting those in need. We have done all kinds of campaigns for people all across the country in terms of supporting where there was a need, from Puerto Rico to here in the U.S. And we love supporting. And we realize that in this time of need, it is someone that we know immediately and directly, and someone that we love, and someone who has supported our community. And so it is definitely important that we reach out in whatever way we can, all of us, to support Teresa and her family. I spoke with her, and in spite of it all, she's in good spirits. She is moving through all of the emotion that you would have in this kind of situation, and we encourage that. And so she said something to me that was so powerful that I want to share. Because even in the midst of moving through moment by moment, experiencing all of the emotion of it, I asked her something. I said, Teresa, is it okay if we share the GoFundMe? Is it okay if we let people know where you are in this current challenge? And she said, absolutely. She said, 10 years ago, PY, I would have said no. But 10 years later, knowing what I know now, I know that I'm worthy of love and support, and so I say yes and thank you. It's something that we pride ourselves on, supporting people and remembering. Yeah. When there is a need and people are wanting to help, say yes and thank you, because you're worthy. And Teresa is worthy, and we're all worthy. I get chills thinking about that in the midst of all of this, she can remember those things, that we bounce back from challenges, that we have tools, we have, more importantly, love and support. So please, as PG said, we're going to be making a donation in the name of CSC. You have the information here, and we will continue to stay in touch with Teresa and her family. While they are dispersed across New York, they are all safe. Yeah. They are all in warm homes. And she is in the process of rebuilding, and her family is rebuilding, and we will continue to support her and update you as need be. We thank you so much, because we know that this community is loving, yeah, and kind and supportive. So do what you can, not more than you can, right, but what you can.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. Well, that concludes our announcements for today. And so now we get to move into the meditation experience, which will be led by Pastor Yolanda.
Oh, I love this image. This amber waves gives you a representation of what those words mean, and how beautiful and how easy and how gentle the breeze is that moves through. I love this meditative thought this month because it feels so good. It feels so appropriate at this time in the season, this time for many of us in our lives, that many things are happening out there in the world, things we cannot ignore, but things that we need to put in the proper perspective, things that would have us feeling reactive, things that would have us feeling afraid, things that would have us feeling alone. And so if we can just simply close our eyes for a moment and remember the affirmative thought, I rest in God. All possibility, infinite possibility, rest in God, and then I rest in it. And so we bring ourselves to this time today to do more than just talk about concepts, to integrate and to practice this idea of connection, to remember no matter where we are in our experience, God is there, and we are supported. And if we have a need, it is always responded to. And so let's do that. Let's practice doing more than gathering information and book knowledge. That's important. But having a direct experience of God for ourselves. We get to rest. We get to rest completely in this moment in God. So, go ahead, look around the room. Why is that important, PY? Because if our nervous system is agitated and on edge, we sometimes are outside of our bodies, outside of the present moment. By looking around, taking in our surroundings, and reminding ourselves that we are safe, we start to send those signals that it's okay to relax and be here now. So, look around the room. Notice where you are. Whether you are seated upright in a chair, on your bed, on your sofa, we have the luxury now of being in our homes, being safe, and still supported. From this place of safety, plant the palms on the tops of the thighs. And now, close your eyes and take this journey inward, letting go of those things that are outside of us and feeling God within us. For this feeling tone allows us and our bodies to rest. And for many of us, rest is exactly what we need. It is the highest form of resistance, and it is the highest form of receiving. Noticing that the palms on the tops of the thighs, let's align the ears over the shoulders and shoulders over hips. And those slight adjustments begin to bring our spinal column in line and begin to allow us to notice our subtle body, that internal system that we call the chakra system. I rest in God. I rest in unlimited possibility. I rest in the truth of my being, for I know that in this rest I am rejuvenated. I am aligned. I am alive. And I rest. So let's go ahead now and notice the breath that is there, always moving. Whether it appears to be deep or appears to be shallow, it matters not. For we know that it is moving, and on each breath, our rest flows, our ease flows, and God is here. Just notice for a few rounds. Now let's take conscious control of this breath that is ours, that we get to move through our body, that we get to send the signal on and feel relaxation. Send that breath into the low belly. Maybe you've been breathing high up in your chest and signaling upset and fear and worry. Drop that breath deep into the belly, and with it, anchor in rest. Together, let's inhale into the low belly. Inhale, expand that low belly. Count to 4. Hold it there. Nice slow count of 4. Exhale now. Sending more breath and rest into the low belly again. Inhale, expand, dropping it deep. Low belly expands. Hold it there. And nice slow count of 4. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, and exhale. Let it all go. There's a quiet that comes on the release. We see it and we feel it. Inhale all the way in and up through the rib cage now. Expanding the front and the sides, back of the body. Hold it there. And as we slow the count down, we slow the response down, and we enter into the rest. Open the mouth, let it all go. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage now, making the way up to the heart chakra, center of the chest. Hold it at the top there. Open the mouth, relax, let it all go. Again, in and all the way up, connecting low belly to rib cage to heart. That's your full breath. Hold it at the top. And without collapsing the body, release what you're holding and rest. Beautiful, everyone. This time, inhale all the way in and up, holding it at the top. And when you're ready, exhale through the nose with the lips closed. We may not hear the breath in our ears, but we feel the breath in our bodies. We rest in that knowing that the breath flows, that God is here, and we are all supported. Let's practice a few rounds of this full breath, for it is the way we were designed to breathe. It should flow easy. It should be deep and elongated. Practice a few rounds on your own. With each round, we go deeper. With each round, we release what is keeping us in fear, doubt, and worry. With each round, we rest. Last round. Let's send that breath and this feeling that we've created into our feet. Notice the feet. If they feel tense or tight, maybe you wiggle the toes or raise the heels. Send the breath there. Relax the feet. We stand on solid ground. No gripping, no fear in us. We can stand in our place, knowing that we are supported. We rest in God and send that energy up through the soles of the feet, across the ankles. Relax the ankles. It is our birthright to rest. It is our birthright to remember we are connected and to be led by that ease, effortlessness. Let that feeling flow across the shins and the calves. Relax the shins and the calves. There is no tension on our knees. We are flexible in our experience and bodies. Relax the knees now. Energy flows across our thighs, our hamstrings, our glutes. Relax the thighs, the hamstrings, and the glutes. And scan the lower half of your body. Are you still holding tension anywhere there? No need, for we rest in God. Release the lower half of your body and give permission for energy to flow up from the base of the spine. Up Exhale and allow. Up. Exhale and allow. Up. Exhale, allow. Up and up and up. Out the crown of our head, we feel the energy gathered above us. We feel the energy connecting us. And if we so choose, we send that energy to someone in need of rest. I rest in God. You rest in God. We all rest in God. Giving permission for that energy to flow back down, that restful energy through the crown, across the third eye, opening the throat, flowing across the shoulders, down the arms, and out the fingertips. We are surrendering our bodies to rest. If you're holding any tension anywhere else in the body, scan the body. Notice where it feels any tightness or tension. Send breath there and love there. If you need, turn the palms up to receive more, or keep them down to ground. Wherever you are, welcome the rest. I will monitor the time. You take the inward journey. If the mind wanders, it's okay. Lovingly, gently, bring it back to the thought, and let the thought, I rest in God, return you to that rest. Enjoy this connection, this ease, this peace, now.
Oh, wait.
With our eyes still closed, we remember that by affirming I rest in God, we have asked for something. We have asked for quietness, unshaken by the world. We've asked for peace and stillness. We've asked for safety and happiness. And whenever we ask, we receive. By simply remembering and coming back to this place with our eyes closed. I rest in God. I have asked, and I now receive. With our eyes still closed, take a mental picture, a vibrational picture, a neurological picture of what it feels like to rest. Bring yourself back here whenever you need, to your place of rest. Close the eyes, notice the breath, and rest. Let's begin our return now. Slow and easy, gentle and peaceful. Start to wake the body. No jarred movement, just subtle movement. Maybe nice, easy. If the palms are turned up, turn them down. Making contact again with the tops of the thighs. If the palms are already turned down, wherever you are, notice and maybe gently rub the tops of the thighs, waking them, wiggling the toes or the fingers. And from this place, inhale, draw the shoulders up by the ears. Inhale. Exhale as we release the shoulders back and nice and easy down. Inhale up. Shoulders follow breath. Inhale, shoulders release back and down on the exhale. One more time, inhale up. Exhale. Feel that, shoulders relax back and down. Bring palms together at heart center. Bow chin to fingertips. And you'll notice a slight opening. The base of the spine along the spinal column all the way up to the neck. Slowly flutter the eyes open. Nice soft gaze, no disturbance on the body or experience. Gentle focus. Inhale, raise the chin. Raise the gaze. Release the breath. Namaste.
Yes, yes, yes. Namaste. Thank you, PY.
You're welcome.
I told y'all meditation was going to be good this month. It's going to keep getting better each week as we tap into this vibration. We rest in God. Well, we are continuing with our powerful message series, The Metaphysics of Money. And today I will be speaking to you from the topic, I got 5 on it. No, it's not about weed. But before we get into the message, we're going to hear from Soul 21. So let's tap into that musical vibration, and then I will see you on the other side with the message.
So clap your hands if you want to. Here we go. I am open to receive. Open to receive all of life's riches. I am open to receive. Open to receive all of life's riches. Oh, we are. So now we have to fill up that vacuum with what is it that we do want. What are you now open to receive? Open to a new thought. Open to a new business. Open to a new career. Open to a new body. Open to new choices. Open to new beliefs. Open to new habits. Open to new eating. Open to new seeing. Open to new being. Open to more money. Open to more love. Open to more joy. Open to more joy. Open to receive. Open to receive. Oh.
Yes, 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 yes. We are open to receive all of life's riches. That feels good every time I hear that. Open to new thoughts, open to new beliefs, open to new love, open to new joy, open to new choices, open to new believing, open to new seeing. We are open to receive all of life's riches. Life is absolutely abundant. It has so much to provide to us when we open up our hands to receive it. Well, hello again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you. I am excited about this message series. I'm excited about today's message. And let us begin, as we always do, by reviewing where we were last week. We started this series with the sermon, What is Your Money Story? And in that sermon, what I was supporting us in understanding first is just a grounding of when we talk about the metaphysics of money, what are we really talking about? Metaphysics deals with that which is before, that which is behind, and that which is beyond what is physical. So when we talk about money, what we have to first understand, as I said last week, this is not a series that's going to support you in financial planning or tell you how to invest your money or any of those things, right? And that's necessary in this time, space, reality in the physical world. But before we do any of those things, we have to understand the metaphysics, what comes before, behind, and what is beyond money. Money is a direct demonstration or manifestation of our thought, belief, and the content of our mind. So what we're thinking, what we're believing, the pattern of our thinking, the content of our mind is what's most important. And that's what's going to then support us as we're investing, as we're saving, as we're creating a new business, as we're doing other things to create additional streams of income. I also shared in that message then that your money story and your God story are really the same story. So as we start to reveal what our money story is, and I shared examples from my own life of the things that I uncovered and discovered and pulled the covers off of so that I could heal them, right? I pulled those things up and they revealed what was really behind my experiences with money at that point. And in truth, many of us also need to look at what our concept of God is, right? If God is limited in any way, if God is unloving, judgmental, and has been given human characteristics, those things need to be changed because, of course, what I shared last week is many times people give money human characteristics. That's equally problematic. And if you consider money to be human in any way, and we know that humans can and will fail us, well, money can and will fail you, right? So it's important that we heal that. But we move on. And for this message, I was reminded of a quote by a very famous and well-loved and liked entrepreneur, author, and motivational speaker, Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn famously says that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I'm sure almost all of you have heard that before, and it resonates, right? He's absolutely right. I'm reminded of in Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, writes about the idea that a criminologist tells, that when a person first encounters crime or criminality, she or he would abhor it. But if they spend more time with it, they become used to it, and eventually they will become like the criminals that they spend time with. We see this in our own lives when we consider the high rate of recidivism when we look at the prison industrial complex, right? Part of what happens is folks who were not criminals in any way, they may have gotten into, some situation, and they're arrested, and because you have to survive in that world, right? Eventually, you become like the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? Now, we also understand, and I'm sure many of you had this experience growing up, where your parents would tell you, oh yeah, I don't like you hanging around certain people, or would keep you from hanging around certain people, or your parents would tell you things like, yeah, you're gonna see. I'm trying to keep you away from this person, but you're going to see they don't have the same types of influences in your life that you have. They don't have the same type of support in their lives that you have, and you're going to see how your paths diverge. And many of us can see that as we have become adults. We see that the people that our parents may have warned us about, we see the path that they went on and how that's different than us. What's more ironic is then, as you have become a parent, you may have found yourself saying the very same thing to your own children, because you understand the truth of this statement by Jim Rohn, that we are the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. But as metaphysicians, we know something more. Remember, thought comes before things. Ideas come before the physical demonstration or manifestation of anything. Again, what did we say? Metaphysics deals with that which is before, behind, and beyond what is physical. So what I say is that your life reflects the 5 ideas you spend the most time with. Before there were 5 people in your life, there were 5 thoughts, 5 ideas, or 5 beliefs. Somebody say, I got 5 on it. You can put it in the comments, you can put it in the chat. If you're with somebody, you can look at that person and say, I got 5 on it. Before there were 5 people in your life, which again, what Jim Rohn says is true, but there had to be thoughts, there had to be ideas, there had to be beliefs that preceded that thing in order to then experience the attraction of the 5 people. Last week, I asked the question, what is your money story? If you use the practical exercises I shared, then what you have revealed are the limiting thoughts, the limiting beliefs, and the limiting ideas surrounding money in your consciousness. You see the patterns of thought that have created your experiences with money. You have made a connection between your limiting thoughts about God and the limiting experiences with money that you may be having. You have uncovered links between childhood experiences and assumptions and your current or past experiences with money. Now, we have the opportunity to erase, remove, and disintegrate those thoughts and patterns and replace them. So if your life reflects the 5 ideas you spend the most time with, then our money must also reflect the 5 ideas we spend the most time with. Now, in the 30-day mental diet, actually day 9, which is the day I'm on today as I'm reading the 30-day mental diet, Willis Kinnear writes something that's very important. He writes, in thinking of any form of abundance in any respect, do not think in terms of tangible manifestations of it, but rather the spiritual cause, the idea, and the law according to which it becomes manifest. This is, again, why it's important when we're talking about the metaphysics of money, to say this another way. In thinking of any form of money in any respect, don't think about the tangible manifestation of it. Don't think about your bank account. Don't think about the spending of it or the things that you're going to do. You think you need money for a down payment on a house. You think you need money to invest in your business or as seed money in your business. You think you need money to send your children to college. You need money to pay a certain bill, right? All of those things are true, but in terms of demonstrating abundance, in terms of demonstrating money, we can't think of the physical. The metaphysics is before the physics, right? The physical. It's behind the physical. It's beyond the physical. But rather, we have to go to the spiritual cause, the idea, and the law. All of those things are non-physical. So today, we're going to talk about what those 5 ideas can look like for you. We're going to talk about how to develop them, how to practice them, and how to keep positive momentum as you change the content of your mind. Let's say it again. I got 5 on it. You can just speak it out loud where you are. Again, if you're with somebody, you say it to them. If you want to type it again, you can. But this is what we're going to deal with today. Now, there are 3 components. We're going to talk about what your most important idea must be. I'm going to support you in creating a new money story. And then we're again going to talk about how do we keep that positive momentum going. So what is your most important idea? Well, again, in this reading in the 30-day mental diet, Willis Kinnear goes further. And what he writes is this: fundamental to your experience of more abundance is the development of your concept of what God is. God is the source of and is all creation. Don't limit God, in whom rest all possibilities. Fundamental to your experience of more abundance, more money, more wealth, more riches, is the development of your concept of what God is. This is the most important idea. As we said last week, your God story and your money story are really the same story, and it works both ways. Because last week we were talking about this idea of if we can uncover the limiting money stories that we have, we can see how that may point to the limiting God stories we have. And as we start to understand, if we think of God as judgmental, angry, arrogant, and vengeful, if we think of God as someone who gets back at you and you could somehow offend God in any way, that thinking, that concept of God, anything other than unconditional love, will play out in your life, right? And so, but in this context, it works both ways in the sense that your concept of God, if it is unlimited, if it is liberated, if it is healed, then that concept of God creates by law an unlimited, liberated, and healed experience of life. So then we must ask ourselves the question, who is God to me? What do I know to be true about God? And more importantly, what do I need to know to be it's true about God? The formula is simple. God is, I am. God is my source. I was reminded of, in saying that, and here reading Willis Kinnear when he says, God is the source of and is all creation. Well, I was reminded of the gospel classic, God is the source and the strength of my life. God moves all pain, misery, and strife. This knowing is, of course, echoed in total praise. You are the source of my strength, the strength of my life. Right? Who and what is God to you? But again, it must be void of all anthropomorphism. It must be void of placing human characteristics on God, because God is impersonal and unconditioned. It is love itself. And we even read in the New Testament scripture, love holds no record of wrongs. We read in the First Testament or Old Testament scripture in the Psalms, God's loving kindness, it's mistranslated as mercy in most English translations, God's loving kindness endureth forever. So we must have a concept that even if you say that God is your source, but you don't know that God is loving kindness that endures forever, if you don't know that God holds no records of wrongs, which is why that profound idea in A Course in Miracles I love, God does not forgive because God does not condemn. Right? Forgiveness is for us. That's for us to clear up our foolishness, our humanness. Right? But God, which is not human, has no reason to forgive because it's not condemning you. It's not holding any record of wrongs. You know, for those of you who grew up in a traditional theology, you've heard it said, God is not a man that he should lie. But then we were taught to treat and think about God as if God were a man with all of these human characteristics. We see the same mess in the Greek myths. I love the Greek myths. I loved studying the Greek myths as a child. But it was this anthropomorphizing. Oh, Zeus is mad. Zeus is jealous. Not only are they mad and jealous of us, Zeus would be jealous of another human and come down and take somebody's wife. But then there was also this infighting amongst the gods. Right? And so then that was man making God in its image. But the truth is we were made in God's image, so we have to understand who and what God is. It's beyond this humanness. It's beyond this humanness. You also know that when we pray and when we affirm, when we use the 5 steps of affirmative prayer, we start with step 1, which is God is, this recognition step of who and what God is. It's so important, the most important idea. There is one mind, one power, one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all. God's life is my life now. This is why that's so important as the first idea. So find and affirm the highest, greatest, and widest knowing that you can, and take the limits off of God. If you don't know that song by Israel Houghton and New Breed, look that up, because that song is so powerful for this, right? If you're sitting in that vibration and wanting to live in what this most important idea is, take the limits off of God. So this is our very, very important and most important idea. So as you're thinking about your 5 ideas, one of these ideas has to align yourself with this reality of who and what God is and your oneness with God. But we move on. Creating a new money story. How do we do that? Well, the limiting ideas that you discovered in using the practices from last week serve actually as the basis for your new money story. It's similar to the exercise, and I heard myself mention it in the song that we just listened to, similar to the exercise where we write down what we don't want, then use that information to turn don't wants into I wants. The limiting ideas and concepts about money can be turned around. So you may have, for example, an old belief, I don't have enough. I remember for me, I always would find myself in this place of, I don't have enough. I don't have enough money. There's not enough. Something would come up and I would immediately look at what I don't have and affirm that I don't have enough. And so in my awareness, in moving through that, I came to the awareness that I had to recognize that I am enough because God within me is enough. And it is out of that awareness of enough that I will have enough. So the old belief, I don't have enough, then is turned around. The new belief was, I have plenty of money all the time. And that was radical. At the time when I embraced this new belief, I have plenty of money all the time. That whatever I need to do, I can do, which, by the way, is the definition of prosperity, right? The definition of prosperity and truth in terms of living it out in your life is not that you're sitting on a pile of cash, right? But it's that whatever it is that you decide and want to do, you're able to do it, right? With ease and with comfort. If you decide you want to go to Coney Island today and enjoy a few Nathan's hot dogs and ride the Wonder Wheel and come back home, do you think if you have the money to get you there via subway, car, whatever, right? Have those hot dogs, ride the Wonder Wheel, and come back home safely, you are a prosperous person, right? So that's very important when we say that. When I say I have plenty of money all the time, is I have what I need when I need it, right? All the time. I'm never in dismay. I'm never scared. I'm like, oh no, well, how am I going to do that? Well, I have plenty of money all the time. Another one, old belief. I'll feel better once payday gets here. Again, this was another one of my old beliefs that I used to feel like I was on cloud 9 on payday, right? I'd watch myself. I had a different strut in my step on payday. But I didn't have that same strut, right, on other days, right? Because I was living in that other belief of I don't have enough. And so the new belief, the turnaround, every day is payday for me. And that seed of the new belief has really set me on a path, right, for that to become true, right? That every day is payday for me, right? Income is flowing into me every day from so many different areas, right? Because this is my reality. Another old belief, my paycheck won't last the whole month, right? It's similar. Y'all have heard it said, sometimes you got more month left than you got paycheck, right? Well, the new belief, my income exceeds my expenses. So you see what we're doing here. We're taking, as we started to uncover these old beliefs, we can turn them around. And I think it's important here because you see how the turnarounds are very specific and expanded. From I don't have enough, yes, you could just say I am enough or I have enough, but I have plenty of money all the time is more specific and expanded, right? I feel better once payday gets here, and every day is payday for me. Because that's really the goal, to live in this feeling and this knowing of supply. I am supplied. I'm supplied every day, just as I'm supplied by oxygen. Okay. Now, in Money is My Friend, and I wanted to just show you the book. This is an old copy. My copy is tattered. I mentioned this book last week, Money is My Friend by Phil Lott. He offers so many different affirmations throughout the text, and I know that many of you have taken my class where we use this book and you've studied the text with me. I look forward to offering this class again next year, but I want to give you some additional affirmations. And I want to give you some additional affirmations because as you hear these, they're also going to surface maybe an old belief that you didn't realize you had, right? This is going to, so just listen in, lean in, get curious. Here's one. The value of my work is rapidly increasing, right? You may be in a position where you feel like you're not getting paid enough for what you do. You may have your own business. It may even be part-time right now. But one of the reasons you think you can't go full-time is because nobody wants to pay what you're worth, or you don't think you can charge what you're worth, or you're undervaluing the value of your expertise, your insight, and your work. The value of my work is rapidly increasing. Now, one that's a close cousin to this, it's okay for me to be overpaid for my work. This is important if you're undercharging, right? If you're not charging what the market really bears and will allow, right? And it may be for a whole bunch of money story reasons, and you may think you're trying to help somebody out and you think people can't afford, whatever. You have all this story. We cancel that story and we affirm it is okay to be overpaid for my work. Here's another one, and this is an important one. I'm reminded Raymond Charles Barker speaks about this in Understanding Prosperous Thinking and Wealth Thinking. All shortages are temporary. The nature of life is an ebb and flow, right? Every human being deals with an ebb and flow, right? Billionaires deal with ebb and flow, right? Millionaires deal with ebb and flow. It doesn't matter what your financial position may be. But one thing that they know is all shortages are temporary. And this may be important for you to understand, particularly maybe you're working in investing, or you want to get into investing, or you're starting to read about and want to understand more about cryptocurrency, right? And seeing what's going on, right? Or even I'm thinking about, I was looking at my stocks the other day, right? I know that all shortages are temporary, right? So right now I looked at my portfolio, things were dipping. I've looked at my 401k, things are dipping. But what do I affirm? All shortages are temporary, right? That's an important knowing. That's powerful. Here's another one. It is okay and safe for me to make more money than my parents. I shared with you the belief ceiling that I held that pointed directly to this. And I saw in the comments some folks were aligned with that, and they realized they had a belief ceiling similar, right? So this may be an affirmation that you want to use. It's okay and safe for me to make more money than my parents. Another great one. I have enough time, energy, wisdom, and money to accomplish all my desires. That encompasses a lot, because you may think you have enough money, but you don't think you have enough time. You may think you have enough time, but you don't think you have enough energy, because how am I going to take care of these kids, or how am I going to take care of my parents, or how am I going to do all these other things and rip and run and do what I got to do and also accomplish all of my desires? I have enough time, energy, wisdom, and money to accomplish all my desires. Here's another great one. I am not my mother. I am a financially successful businesswoman. Right? I am not my parents. I am not my whomever it may be, right? And I am a financially successful business person. Powerful, right? It's changing the whole story, right? And I see y'all, I see the comments coming in, right? Y'all are hearing this and it's starting to resonate because it's uncovering the old money story, but I'm giving you the new money story. Here's another one, and this is one I've used for many years I love. It is fun for me to be a wealthy woman, man, a wealthy person. It is fun. There's all these kind of beliefs around when you get money, you're going to turn into somebody else, right? What if it's fun? What if there's joy in this thing? And finally, which is another one, I forgive my parents for their financial problems. This is an important one, right? If you grew up in a situation where, there were lots of different experiences with money, and I know in working with people and just being aware of folks' lives, things, your childhood could have been tumultuous, right? As it results to money for different reasons. You got to forgive and set them free so that you can establish a new path for yourself. So again, as I said, hearing these may have revealed some of your old money story, but now you get to heal them. So let's talk about how we can use some of these affirmations. So you've done a turnaround. You've heard some of these that you want to embrace, right? You've taken some of your old story, you've turned them around. And so I want to give you two processes that you can use, two that I've used and still use personally. Now, the first one was, as I sort of recognized and was in this place of recognizing what my old money story was, as I shared with you, I had a coach that I was working with, and that was the lens through which we began to do our work and to do lots of powerful healing. I simply decided what I wanted my money story to be. And I recorded myself affirming this. And this is literally what I wrote. This goes back to 2009. And I recorded myself on my phone saying, this is my money story. I am rich. I am prosperous. I am abundant. I am blessed beyond compare. I have hundreds in my pocket and thousands in the bank. I am blessed beyond compare. I am rich. I am prosperous. I am abundant. And every day, what I used to do when I would walk out the door, that's what I would play. I would listen to that on repeat as I walked to the subway. I did that every day for years, honestly, because I needed to just implant in my mind a new idea. And so you could take your 5 ideas and you could say, this is my money story. It is okay for me to be overpaid for work. All shortages are temporary, right? Whatever it may be. I have plenty of money all the time. Every day is payday for me. This is my money story. And you're starting to just establish, it's like planting a flag in the ground, just establishing, this is my money story. I know what it was. I may have been unconscious of it. I may have been unaware of how it was actually playing out in my life. But now that I've revealed it, I am uprooting it and I'm now planting new seeds. This is what I'm choosing to plant, right? If you had a garden and there were a bunch of tomatoes in the garden, but you actually wanted cucumbers, it's like, okay, I don't know how the tomatoes got here, whatever, but now I am planting cucumbers deliberately, okay, intentionally. And so that's one of the things that I did. And of course, as always with anything like this, you want to be consistent and deliberate with it. And so if you're establishing this is my money story and you're recording yourself listening to it, I also encourage, if possible, listening and reading is actually a powerful way to implant it in your mind. And also what studies have shown, specifically writing. Writing implants in your mind in a way that nothing else does. There are studies that were done around note-taking in meetings. It's one of the reasons why I still do handwritten notes in my meetings versus typing, because it actually sticks in your brain, faster. But the studies have shown that you retain that information at a much higher rate if you actually write. So what I tend to do, and part of my writing in my daily spiritual practice, is to actually physically write whatever my daily prayer is or what my daily affirmations are that I'm working with. So that's one process. Okay. Now, process 2 is interesting because it's related to an exercise that I gave you last week, and you may not have realized the power in it. I'm sure it probably sounded interesting, but now we're going to kind of delve deeper into it. Process 2 is speaking, specifically speaking, but also writing your affirmations as you, to you, and about you. And what do I mean? Well, I'm going to give you, I'm going to read to you 3 examples. And these are 3 more money affirmations that I developed for myself and adopted when I needed them to establish a new money story. My financial life is easy. All that I need to know or learn comes to me effortlessly. As you. Greg, your financial life is easy. All that you need to know or learn comes to you effortlessly. To you. Greg's financial life is easy. All that he needs to know or learn comes to him effortlessly. About you. Here's another one. I have more than enough money, and there is more than enough for everyone else. This reveals another one of those old money stories. Oh, well, if I become wealthy or if I do this, I'm taking away from somebody else. Or if I start this business, other people are doing it too. And I'm taking away cupcakes from somebody else. I'm taking away whatever it may be, right? I have more than enough money and there is more than enough for everyone else. Greg, you have more than enough money and there is more than enough for everyone else. Greg has more than enough money and there is more than enough for everyone else. As you, to you, about you. Third one, my personal connection to infinite being and infinite intelligence yields me a personal fortune. I love that one because it takes care of what we talked about, that important idea, right? That understanding that you have a personal connection to infinite being and infinite intelligence, which is who and what God is, but it also takes us out of any attachments we may have had to that old word that points to that old God. And because of the personal connection, it yields a personal fortune. Greg, your personal connection to infinite being and infinite intelligence yields you a personal fortune. Greg's personal connection to infinite being and infinite intelligence yields him a personal fortune. Speak as you, speak to you, and then speak about you. Right? And this is something that I learned from that exercise that Phil Lott gave us, where we took that exercise of saying, I deserve to be prosperous and wealthy. I'm paraphrasing. And we paid attention to what the thoughts that were showing up in our minds, because we may hear the doubts, we may hear the naysayers, we may hear money doesn't grow on trees, or things that were implanted in our minds when we were children. And he invites us to speak it from each person. Well, what I've learned is that by using that positively for our affirmations, it's doing something amazing, because this is how we tend to speak in our minds, right? How many times have you talked to yourself or about yourself in your mind? Greg, you know you messed up again. Greg, you know you ain't have no business doing. Man, what's wrong with you, right? Right? How many times do we speak in our minds to ourselves that way in the negative? So it's important that if we're going to plant new ideas in our minds, that we then speak to ourselves, to ourselves, and about ourselves in the same way that it's already going on in our minds. So you affirm it. And I think this is also then why people get tripped up by just using affirmation. Oh, my life is abundant and amazing. My life is abundant and amazing. I am abundant. I am amazing. My financial life is easy, right? And they're spouting all of these wonderful affirmations. But in their mind, there's a voice that's saying, Greg, your life ain't easy. Greg, you're not abundant. Greg, you're not powerful. Greg, you're not worthy. Or in your mind, you're hearing that tape of, Greg always makes mistakes. And so it's important that you use these affirmations in this powerful and profound way. So we've got 5 on it. We've got our 5 ideas. But now we understand how we get to use them. I said we would talk about what our 5 ideas can look like. I said we would understand how we can develop them, how to practice them, and how to keep positive momentum as you change the content of your mind. Now, what's the most important idea? The most important idea takes us back to what Willis Kinnear says. Fundamental to our experience of more abundance is the development of our concept of what God is. God is absolute, unconditional love. It is impersonal and unconditioned. It is loving kindness that endures forever. Anything other than that, any other concept of God, will then outpicture as the unwanted experiences that have shown up in our lives. He ends by saying, don't limit God, in whom rest all possibilities. Then in creating our new money story, we walk through how to turn around an old belief. We've uncovered the belief, and now we turn it around. And the examples that I gave are very powerful because they also show how they were specific but also expansive. Old belief, I don't have enough. New belief, I have plenty of money all the time. Old belief, I'll feel better once I get paid. New belief, every day is payday for me. And then we tapped into these two processes. Use a recording and record yourself. This is my money story. Plant that flag in the ground. Plant that flag in your mind. And then speak out those affirmations. What is true? Listen to that on a daily basis. Write it down if you must. But then we can delve deeper with the second process. Speak as you, speak to you, and speak about you. My financial life is easy. All that I need to know or learn comes to me effortlessly. Greg, your financial life is easy. All that you need to know or learn comes to you effortlessly. Greg's financial life is easy. All that he needs to know or learn comes to him effortlessly. And so then keeping positive momentum requires just one thing. You probably already know what it is. Gratitude. Now, what do I always say about gratitude? Your gratitude does not have to be profound, but it must be specific. And see, what happens is, particularly as we're changing our money story, it doesn't happen overnight. But the way we keep more momentum and building that momentum, and the snowball effect starts to happen when we can bring gratitude to the specific things that in some ways seem insignificant, but it's important that we put our attention on it. To this very day, I get excited if I find a penny on the ground. Because for me, it's a physical reminder. It's a trigger in my mind of the truth that, as Catherine Ponder says, there's gold dust everywhere for you. And so if I see a penny, I pick it up and I celebrate it. And what else do I do to live in that celebration? I text PY. She probably has dozens of pictures of me holding a penny, texting it to her, and me on the same end, because she'll do the same thing. Say, I just found a penny, and we celebrate together. And then we affirm this penny turns into a quarter. This quarter turns into $1. This dollar turns into $5. This $5 turns into 10. This 10 turns into 20. And as I affirm that by being specific about something that seemed insignificant, those things show up. I've found $5, $10, $20 on the ground. But I recognize that was because I celebrated, oh my Lord, have mercy, I celebrated the penny. It's important. This is what's rooted even in the idea of being faithful over a few things so that you can be a ruler of many. So whatever seems very small, right? I don't care, if everybody gets a 1% raise at work. I know 1% is not a lot. I know that. But I'm celebrating that which is coming into being. Right? I'm celebrating that increase because I know as I put my mind and I celebrate, like I would say, what you think about is what you bring about. Right? We've heard what you think about is what you bring about, but what you think about is what you bring about. What you are grateful around, you bring more of that into your life. Again, I know a penny is not profound, but the moment and experience is a specific opportunity for me to live in the new money story that I may be creating. Every day is payday for me. I have plenty of money all the time, and all of a sudden a penny is showing up. I need to celebrate that. because it's pointing me back to the story that I'm creating. Now, in closing, I'll say this. No matter which of the 5 ideas you may choose, you may be inspired by the ones that I've shared. You may go online and look up money affirmations. You may decide to get the book Money is My Friend. It's important that you commit to the process for at least 21 days. And it must be a consistent, disciplined process. We will say this over and over again. If you start this process and on day 5 you forget, guess what? The next day is day 1. It's important that you do that because what you're doing is you're building, you're actually, it's like establishing a road, a groove in your mind. And you're literally creating a connection, right? Synapses in your brain. You're disintegrating, disconnecting those connections around the old story, and you're creating new connections and then forging them together. And what will begin to happen, what's so powerful for me is I went back to that set of affirmations, and I didn't share them all because I had like 13 that I worked with when I was doing very specific work around money. My life literally outpictures the reality of those affirmations because they're grooves now in my mind and in my heart and in my life. And I just live in this absolute expectation. So things are just coming all the time. I'm not trying to create new streams of income, but because I'm living in the everyday is payday for me, and I have plenty of money all the time, what am I creating and attracting in my life is multiple streams. But it's important that we're disciplined and consistent because this ain't magic. You know, someone could have told you about this wonderful thing called a roast turkey, right? And giving you the process of the roast turkey. But if you just put that thing in and don't season it and put it in the oven for like 5 minutes, you're not going to get the results. We recognize that it has to be, there's a preparation that's necessary, and then it must be given the proper time. Also, we understand that this is about practice. So even if you follow all of the instructions, that first turkey, in this case, that you make, it's not going to be as delicious as the 20th one you make. That's just the kind of the way it works because you just get in a groove and habit, and you might switch things up a little bit. You feel more confident. That's how this thing works. But first, you have to be disciplined and consistent with the practice. I am so grateful and thankful for this message and for this series. We're going to delve in deeper next week as we're looking into understanding what currency and movement is all about and what the process of giving and receiving has to do with money. But I look forward to seeing and hearing the ways that you apply the wisdom of this message. And I look forward to seeing the ways in which God operates in, through, and as your life, prospering and thriving you. And so to that we say, amen, ashe, and so it is.
Ah, yes, yes. From the comments, you all are feeling this message and this series. I know that I am. It's so interesting as we both are in the middle of doing a 30-day mental diet, the things that come up, the stories that come up, the ways of healing that need to come up. Mm-hmm. And for many of you, I saw this idea, I need to forgive my parents for their money story, the way they lived around money. Mm-hmm. I didn't even realize that that was a possibility or a thing I needed to do. But as I think about it, I didn't learn because they didn't know. Or they didn't know how to, right? Yeah. And so I get to forgive them of their money story. Yeah. And inadvertently, I forgive myself for taking on any things that I learned from them.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be powerful. We said it from the very beginning. It is. You all are responding to it. And as he said, don't just make one turkey and think you got it. Right? Some of y'all, if your first turkey, you remember, you put it in there and you still had the giblets on the inside. You hadn't taken that out.
Oh,
and
Lord have mercy.
You know, I heard those stories. And then you never did it again, or you know, keep practicing, right? This is all practice for a reason.
Yeah.
And we tell you our stories and our processes so you can make them your own.
Yep.
We didn't do them perfectly the first time.
Nope.
We continue to evolve in the way in which we use these teachings, these methodologies, these practices, and we continue to be prosperous
Yes, yes.
and increase our prosperity.
Yes, yes.
Every day, in every way, we continue to be prosperous, and we want the same for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, PG.
Oh, yes.
I'm loving it. I know y'all loving it.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, in this moment, it is time for giving, and you see the information here on your screen. It is very easy to give to CSC. Just go to celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. It is a $10 minimum to text to give. What's most important is that you give what feels good, because we recognize that any giving that is associated with shame, guilt, obligation, or even just by rote, right? You don't feel anything. That's actually divorcing you of the blessing of giving and the power of giving and the way that giving multiplies your blessings. So it's important that the vibration behind your giving is a good feeling tone, that you recognize that God is your source, God is your power, God is your strength. You recognize that your job, your business, your career is a resource, but it's not the source. And so you're giving from unlimited supply in truth. And you know that it is coming back to you in more ways than you can imagine. When you give from that place, then you can affirm this powerful truth. All the money that I use
returns
to me multiplied.
Returns to me multiplied.
In a never-ending cycle.
In a never-ending cycle.
Of increase.
And
enjoyment. To that we say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
So it is. Yes, yes. Well, y'all know I'm in joy as it relates to this series. We've got some more things to delve into and to look at when we talk about the metaphysics of money. I look forward to you all being with us next Sunday at 11 a.m. We also will gather together for the Momentum Prayer Call at Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. We just want you to have an awesome week, an empowered week. Continue to thrive, continue to be prosperous, continue to be lighthouses in your lives and examples of infinite possibility. And we look forward to gathering together in truth, in love, as one beloved community.
Yes, yes.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye for now. See you next week.